that whole you can have it all, that's a lie. And it's not always enough to lean in because that doesn't work all the time on the Becoming book tour. I want to talk about that because that's also what I'm waking up to, and I think most 30-somethings, we felt that it's sobering to realize that truth.
Yeah.
Because you believe that what kind of keeps you going for a long time is this utopian belief, like you, Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That things are going to, if I'm just good enough, if I'm just kind enough, if I'm just, the math doesn't actually math though.
Yeah, yeah.
The equation is always changing, you know what I mean? And so are the variables.
For women, for minorities, for, not to, diss on white men, you guys are good, but I think there are barriers and roadblocks for the others.
Sure.
That, the world isn't fully set up for us.
Yes.
For the math to math. And that's not in our heads. That's not, there's no affirmative, there's no need for affirmative action. Yeah, no, there is. There's a lot. There's a lot of, disadvantage and edge and that makes it even harder.
Yeah, even if you just take the emotion out of it, and I talk about shapes. It was built for rectangles. I'm a circle. That's it.
That's right.
We can remove color, we can remove sex, we can move
That's right.
all of it. This is built for a rectangle.
That's right.
I'm a circle.
Yeah.
Trying to push through it.
Yeah.
And I'm fitting.
Right.
Hurts though.
Because you're an overachiever, because you're a perfectionist and because you can. That's the other downside of being an overachieving perfectionist. You wind up doing stuff that a lot of people can't and shouldn't be trying to do, but you can do it.
And then you realize there's also not only do you realize you're being the example, you're being the model minority or the model exception in that regard. You're now the example that, see, roses can grow from concrete, which actually I don't want to affirm that because everybody deserves grass.
Yeah, that's right.
And then also on the other side of it, you realize that still is just one shallow version of it.
Yeah.
That there's actually a whole other side of it that you then meet. How do you still find the courage and the faith in humanity? I mean, to still have that desire when you feel like there's always one, what I mean? It could be discouraging.
Yeah. Oh, 'cause of Maya and Rosa and Nelson, I mean, shoot, we're still sitting really pretty, in the context of history. Which is why we need to know our history, and our meaning the country's history, the world's history.
That's right.
That context helps because we are the products of the advantages and the struggle and the hard work. You and I sitting here.
That's right.
Where we've been, where we still can go. It's hard and it's harder for us. Everything hasn't been fixed.
Yeah.
But we are moving towards better. And there's some bumps and roadblocks, The ascent is never a straight shot. It goes up and down as long as the projection is heading upward. And we're living proof that it is. And so we have to be mindful of that, even as we work to improve it or not accept what is here. But, humanity did this. Humanity got us here, all of us together. White, black, the circles, the triangles, and the rectangles all worked on this, Some of the rectangles were like, man, this ain't right for the circles.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to, sacrifice a little bit and change a little bit and fight for the circle. And the triangles are like, yeah, we're in it too, That is our humanity. That is happening. And we have to look at each other and give one another the benefit of the doubt that we're circles and rectangles, but you're looking out for me. You might not know how to look out for me every time. And maybe sometimes your interests might not completely align with mine because you still have your interests as a rectangle. Rectangles are still trying to be rectangles.
You know what I mean? And I get it.
It's like,
we all got to go in the box, though.
We all have to go in the box. So how do we do it? And we're working on it.
Yeah.
You know, humanity is where I know you see it every day.
I do. And I appreciate this. Again, this is what you were talking about before with the whole community connection and the conversations.
Yeah.
Because it is for you.
Yeah.
Because we're having the same thing. And from your vantage point, from my vantage point, but we're meeting at the same medium of these emotions, of these structural, what we consider limitations or just uphill battles in the human condition.
Yeah.
And it just affirms, you're not crazy. It is tough, but you can do it.